to quantumhealers.com, and we are reviewing a Beyond Quantum Healing session, a BQH session that we had in July of 2021 with my new friends and new practitioners, Natalie Taxiera and Mike Waters. Mike's not with us today, but we might have him in at the end. Kind of depends on how this goes. We are listening to a BQH session and going over it as we listen, and we're stopping and starting it. It's the audio portion of this session. And so welcome back, Natalie.
Hi, Candace. Thank you.
Nice to have you here. We're going to go through at least another third of it today, and then possibly the last third another day, or we might continue on today, see how that goes as we discuss what's going on here. But I wonder, since you were better equipped at taking notes, or better equipped at finding your notes, to be quite honest with everyone who is listening, I'm going to have Natalie give us a little update and a little recap of where we left off, what we've discovered so far about the session that you had with Mike.
Okay. So based on what I have here, and I think what Michael was talking about in this portion of the session when we ended, was the question I had asked is, how we came, I guess part of it was like, how are we here? Like, was there any insight into how humans were on the planet? But then he also was just talking about how, I guess there was a planet that had exploded. They had somehow, these beings had participated in the demise of this planet, and some of those beings were sent to Earth, and that this is part of a karmic cycle, like that we have actually been going through, but that's going to be coming to an end, which I think we've heard in other ways as well, which is really interesting. So I guess we were speaking to the council at this time. They were bringing forward some information about what was going on there, and we were just asking those questions. And then it looks like I have, so they were quarantined on Earth to work out their karma, and that's where it left off. So I guess we'll move forward from there.
Super. So I'm going to press play. And again, I haven't heard this session all the way through, so this is fresh for me. And I will pause it at appropriate places, or as we wish to speak. So I'm going to go ahead and click over to share my screen. And we're going to start listening again. Here we go.
And that's where they got trapped in the karmic cycle.
Yes.
And we're going to be shifting away from that karmic cycle.
Yes. So that's what the shift is all about.
So what is Michael's role here right now on the planet at this time?
He's one of the ones that are going to help people when the shift is happening, to tell them what's going on, calm them down, direct them, and then later people start coming back to Earth to basically be an energy ball in a way that will help the people reground themselves to guide Mother Earth in this new dimension.
Is there anything that he could be doing right now in his life to help prepare himself to take on this role?
He's aware of it. That's why he's taking this class that he's taking right now and doing a tremendous amount of reading that he's doing. Subjects that interest him. Disregard about all of these many different areas that he's looking into, like the Earth transforming to 5D, of many ancient civilizations that have made all of these initial progresses and then annihilation. And there's something to be learned from that.
Excellent. While he's in this place, are there any messages that that could be from loved ones that he may need to receive at this time?
I'm in contact with them quite a bit, so not really.
Excellent. So if we are back by this council, if there's anything else that needs to come through there, if not, we can kind of move through this city and see if there's anything else that seems important.
They also doesn't have it for me.
Okay. Thank them for their time, and we'll just move to another part of this place, or if you feel like there's something else you're being drawn towards, you can explore that as well.
Seeing babies, but now I'm seeing a place where all translucent beings and Telepaxians seem to be birthing these energy balls.
And the energy balls are babies, or they are just energy balls?
They seem to be baby energy balls. They're like
Baby energy balls.
Energy ball, multicolored face, but they seem to be a little smaller. They seem to be new. So they do have these people that are making these Telepaxians, that are making these energy balls, seem to do it with their thought forms. There's a little group of them. They seem to be sort of nurses or doctors or telepathic healers. I'm not sure what they are.
And is this a normal process that they create more of these energy balls is it just to support their own community, or is this to help assist in the more universal aspect of?
It's really to help the more universal aspect. It's to up the energy flow that goes to Earth. That's what they're mostly concerned with, because Telepaxia is pretty well self-contained. But they're trying to make a surplus of this low energy to go to Earth to help.
All right, I'm going to stop it there because I found that last sentence really interesting. Meaning, not so much the information, but remember, he's moving through this realm. And he's just finished talking to the Telepaxians and getting information from them. But now as he's moving through and exploring the city, suddenly he's, he knows more about the Telepaxians as a whole, right?
Right.
I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's like he connected into this information, like especially when he started to see like how these energy balls, as he calls them, were basically being produced, but that it's as if they can constantly resupply, like because everything is all connected and the energy is pulled from all things. And so but I thought what was interesting is that, it's like they have everything that they need there because they're so self-sustaining that they have enough that they can send to other places. And right now it seems that Earth is the main focus on where this
Yeah.
extra energy needs to go, which I thought was really neat.
Yeah. And how cool is that? Because, you know, as we watch the, yeah.
Human resonance or?
Oh, I was going to say shit show
Well, that too.
on the planet. We could use some things like that. And I mean, really, how wonderful is that? Okay.
Totally.
I'm going to keep playing.
Is this a part of the energy that we've been experiencing when we see the human resonance being affected?
Yes, a lot of people have been feeling this, affected by this. Sleep patterns, just fuzziness of your head. There's just been a tremendous amount of energy that's been hitting the earth. Cosmic energy, low energy from many races have been directed at earth to help with this.
Now, is this energy being sent through our sun or the central sun in order to either be magnified or buffered in a sense, or is this just coming directly from this place of origin?
It just depends on what type of energy it is. Some of it comes through the sun, because all of the suns are connected. It all comes from the central sun of the universe. That's the photonic energy. These other energies, like this low energy, it's a different type of energy. But its source is the central sun also, but it's in a different form. It's in a softer, more gentle form. But there's other energies too. Some of them are sound energies. Some of them are color energies. Some of them are just wind.
We must get a lot in Kansas then.
An increase in this energy, will it somehow be more of an expansive, more condensed, directed force that comes towards the planet, or is this just going to continue to trickle in?
Well, right now, everybody's ramping up, so it'll be even more. There's going to be more and more and more. And that's why the Telepaxians are very concerned right now about getting as much surplus low energy that they're responsible for to come to the earth to change what's happening, raise the vibration of the earth. There are people that are trying to block this, and so that's why they're trying to ramp up the energy.
I see. And will there be we've often heard of something called the event or a solar flash that will raise the consciousness of the planet. Is this something that Telepaxia is participating in? Is that something that we should still be expecting here on Earth?
Yes, only the Telepaxian flow energy is just enhancing the photonic energy.
Okay.
That's coming from the suns.
So they're working together, and so other than the Telepaxians, is this energy also coming from other planets or other places in the universe?
Yes.
And it's all coming through the central sun?
Yes.
For Earth specifically?
Yes, for Earth specifically. There's always continual flow that happens, both photonic energy and other energies, to the other planets that are in a process, sort of like it. But Earth is the prime concern right now because it's the most important place in the universe right now.
And why is it the most important place in the universe? What's so special about Earth?
This is a battleground for dark and light to find balance. Right now, the balance is more dark than light. So we need to re-establish a balance that affects the entire universe.
I see. So the Earth is playing a pretty important role right now.
Yes.
it seems like a big responsibility as well for humans to get to this place of their consciousness so that they can have the balance tip in the right direction.
Yes.
So that's interesting. In other sessions that I've had and in other conversations that I've had, I've actually heard the opposite, that we're on the other side, that there actually is more light than dark. But
I heard that too. Yeah.
he's saying something a little different here, and it may be his perception, and it may simply, what exactly we're talking about. But I did want to just note that I heard that, and you're asking really some excellent questions, by the way.
Thanks.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he finishes this thought.
Yeah, me too. And we're grateful to have assistance because so many people have forgotten that this is what's happening.
Yes, the people that are awakening are knowing this now, but there's so many more that are just in limbo. They're not necessarily bad, but they're not necessarily good either. They're just neutral.
They just don't know.
We need to change the people that are neutral. Knowing mindset.
Well, it would seem to me that if there was to be a solar flash event, that is definitely something that could help awaken more people and help them to see more of, like, having that veil be lifted. Like, I've heard that some people have just chosen to wake up later than others, and that it will be some sort of an event that will be a catalyst to make that happen.
Yes, the event is coming. I can't tell you when though, because all I can tell you is it's soon. Because there's just too many variables.
It's always soon!
Yeah, soon.
And especially if there are beings who are trying to prevent this from happening.
Yes, they will lose, but they will try as hard as they can.
I see. And they know this.
They know this, but they seem to be fighting it anyway.
Yes.
It's very frustrating.
Well, I imagine it's hard for them to let go of the control that they've had for so long.
Yes, it is.
And they've thought they've won for so long, therefore they may think that they somehow will pull this off at the last minute.
Yes, that's exactly what they think. They won't though.
So what can we as quantum healers in the community, what can we do to further anchor in this light and assist with this process with humanity, whether it be with our individual clients or just who we are in the place we're holding right now on the planet?
Well, we're doing it right now. Right. By going to classes like this, by having sessions like the one Mike is having, by telling everybody we can, by telling people watch YouTube videos or books or whatever you can possibly think of, the people that are enlightened. It's their responsibility to enlighten others.
So they should be sharing what they know.
Yes.
There's a lot of censoring happening on the planet right now that makes that really difficult.
Yes. And those are the people that are trying to block what's coming.
I understand. So how can we get around that obstacle though?
That's a big question, and that's why there's no timeline of when this will happen other than soon. And I apparently don't have that knowledge.
I imagine, well, what an impression I just got was that perhaps having more in-person meetings with people, having gatherings and sharing information outside of our media and social media avenues that we tend to rely on for so long.
Yes, anything that you can do, greatly appreciated.
Yes. So that part where I asked that question and there was kind of like this pause, and it was really wild because, you know, like we always get sort of downloads when we're in sessions and like we get insight like really quickly. But this felt like they basically stopped him from actually being able to see what that was, and directly went into me, and because like it was like, oh, we're supposed to be together, right? And it was funny because I had a session not long ago where one of the main things that she ended up that came through was about creating community and having and just being together, creating opportunities for us to be together. And it doesn't mean that the meeting or the gathering has to specifically be about, well, this is what we're gathering about. It's just about being with people, having cookouts, having people over, just going and doing things. And then in that process, having conversations.
Yep.
So those little seeds that are planted that just help people understand things maybe from a different perspective, to have a little bit more insight as to the things that are happening right now on the planet, and that it's not necessarily what we think it is. That those are the ways that will reach more people, especially with the way that, we're being censored, and it's really hard to share certain information. So I thought that was kind of fun, the way that happened.
Yeah. And also why we're being told to stay away from each other.
Yep.
There's just so much beauty here. So we're at a restroom break. Does he come back pretty quickly? And did you talk with Mary during this? Or, I mean, because this is coming up, it's going to be on the recording right now.
I
Do you
think
remember?
I think I did. I don't remember. It's been,
Okay.
like I said, this
Of
is
course.
the first time I'm watching it too. So we'll wait. It was pretty fast though. He
Okay.
wasn't in there long.
All right. You never know. All right, here we go.
Okay. Just gonna pick right back up where you left off in this trance state. And this time you'll just go even deeper. Relaxing back into this place.
So you must have paused it then.
I must have. Yeah. Okay. Telepaxia. Connecting with these light beings. This crystal city. Oh, perhaps there's another place in this city that we want to explore. And if it's time to let this place go and explore something new, we can do that as well.
There seems to be a room where I don't know if people are praying or what they're doing, but it seems to be the middle and the pinnacle of the crystalline city.
I love this part.
And there seems to be a lot of people just meditating and praying. And they seem to be aware of me floating in, telling me telepathically to something. Oh, to keep communicating with you
Okay.
and telling you anything that you want to know, and that it's okay, and that we are aware of what's happening here. And they're trying to show me what they're doing in that room. There seems to be 50 of these extraterrestrials, and they seem to be combining all of their thoughts. That's how they're making the energy balls.
So is this coming from their consciousness then?
Yeah,
They're creating these?
It's coming from their what they seem to be doing is they seem to be focusing all of their thoughts upward to source, and then source is bringing these little energy balls down. They seem to be very tied into source energy and create.
So they're really creator beings of
Yeah.
source in a sense.
Yeah, they're using source. They're combining with source to make these energy balls, create these energy balls that help this flow of energy to gather and flow and direct to where it needs to go.
So these energy balls are fractals of source.
Yes. They come from source. The Telepaxians send all of their love, energy, and thoughts up to source. And then a fractal of source comes down in the form of an energy ball that helps this flow energy to be born and then be directed to where it needs to go out in the forest to gather more energy, back to the city, and then eventually to Earth as well as other places.
And how do these energy balls specifically affect the human body? I've heard that our DNA is shifting and things like that. How is that possible? How would these energy balls, or are these energy balls affecting us in any way directly?
Yes, our vibration is raising, which means eventually we won't be able to see the 3D Earth. We'll be working at such a high frequency that we won't even see the 3D Earth. And some people say that it will disappear, some people say it will split, some people say it will just cease to exist. And it kind of will cease to exist for us in our new vibration. Because all that is in 3D Earth won't be around us anymore.
Did you ask? I mean, it might be coming up, but these energy balls, did you ask about their visibility to 3D humans?
I don't think I asked that.
Yeah, because what I wonder is, I mean, I don't know about you, but I've seen balls of energy and I've seen them both. I mean, the first time I ever saw a ball like that, I was making pancakes with my daughter in the kitchen before ever even getting into this work.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a crazy story. I remember Laura's like, Mama, what was that? And I mean, my eyes are like this. And I said, it was really interesting because it came in and interacted with us. We're just standing at the stove and it interacted with us and it moved her hand. Actually, she was getting ready to put, she was just a young child. She was getting ready to put some salt in a bowl. We were making pancakes, a little bit of salt in the bowl. And the ball like came up and went next to her hand and her hand even moved. And then the ball floated out and we were just speechless until it left the room. And then she looked up at me and said, Mama, what was that? And I actually, well, I did what I do in all of these things. I always call everything angels because I don't know, but it was,
sure.
it was beautiful and it was spectacular. But I've seen little balls of light like this in sessions, both in my third eye, but also, some of the sparkles and smaller balls of light too in sessions, actual ones. And it makes me really wonder about like the whole orb phenomenon. And anyway, so those are some of my thoughts while I'm listening.
Well, and normally, I mean, because a lot of times, even if you don't see them with the human eye, they will be picked up on camera, right? So it's interesting how, I think it's just what we're open to. And so I think they're probably visual to some people, but that also could have been an angelic presence. It could have been a number of things, sure. Right? As we know. So, because it feels like in terms of the energy to me, it feels like rays. Like I've actually seen these rays of energy, you know,
Sure.
these beams that are coming in. So maybe it's just because it's a collective ball of light, but it's just now it's like this strong ray of energy, you know.
Well,
Pretty neat.
it really makes you think about a lot of things. I mean, here's an example. You know how we all get those tones in our ears? He
Right.
said some of it was sound frequency, some of it's color frequency. So it really makes you wonder about all those things.
Totally.
All
Yeah.
right, continuing.
So cool.
And they're telling me it's much like your 3D Earth right now, and beings of light, like fairies and some of the other beings there, can be right next to us, but we can't see them because they're in such a higher dimension than what we can sense or know or see or smell or touch.
So when that shifts and this energy increases, then we will now be aligned with where they are in their dimension.
Yes.
So we would have the ability then to interact with them and see them.
Yes.
That's
and
amazing.
They're telling me that at one time human beings could see all this, and then the materialism happened, and the beings that were reincarnated on Earth from these other places started to shorten our lifespans, as well as make it impossible for us to see some of the magical creatures that are on the Earth.
You know, for some reason it made me think about the Bible and the Garden of Eden and that original blueprint of Earth and that sense of everything just being pure and beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, is that what it would have been like?
Yes.
And so then it was it free will in essence, like the experiment of free will that shifted that for humans and made that disconnect? Or what
That
was
was
that?
part of it, and part of it was the influx of souls from other places that still had some of the dark karma surrounding them. And I guess you could say it watered down or polluted
Okay.
the spirits of the earth.
So it's interesting because it feels like Earth became a dumping ground.
It was.
But then what about all of these elemental beings and the ones that were in this other dimension? How did that affect their world by that happening?
Well, they just stayed at a higher vibration, and eventually the humans couldn't see them at all. So it didn't really affect their world,
Okay.
other than they were sad to see the humans go that way.
Yes. I see. And how could we connect more with the elementals now, like until we can get to that place where we can see them? How could they, what's the word? Because I don't want to say how could they assist us, because I feel like if we're moving into a place of unity, then it isn't something we need to get from them. But how could we connect with them more so that perhaps they can participate more greatly with humans in terms of helping assist in the shift as well? Or are they doing that in ways that we just aren't aware of?
They are definitely doing that in ways that we're not aware of, but we can reach out to them anytime that we want and ask for their help. And they are there to help. When Michael wrote his book, he asked for the help of an elemental in his backyard that he made contact with named Prometheus, and it helped him to write the book. And Michael knew that this was a different voice and a different style of writing than he would do. So he was aware of the fact that there really was a help. Both he and his wife used this elemental named Prometheus to help write their book.
That's wonderful. So just basically having the conscious awareness and asking, having the
Yes,
desire to connect is
yes,
what they're waiting for.
and knowing that they are there.
Yes. Okay. I read some books years ago. One was called The Findhorn Garden, and the other one, I think it was written by a woman named Michelle Small, who wrote Believing as if the God in all life mattered. And those books really did speak about the elementals and how these particular people really connected with them to communicate with their garden, their plants, even the bugs. And it was quite beautiful. But things like that assist more people in understanding how they too could communicate and start bridging this these two worlds.
Yes, absolutely. Anytime you can reach out, anytime that you can know that that you're not alone, that there are all these helping, not only spirits, but physical beings, trees, plants, flowers, water, wind, fire, air, all of the elements can help us if we are aware of them and we ask for help from them. They will help us.
That's beautiful. Thank you. I'll do that.
The Atlanteans, which later became the indigenous people of a lot of places, Australia, South America, Central America, North America, all types of places, India, parts of Russia, they were all part of the Atlanteans, and the Atlanteans knew this, and so they're the keepers of a lot of wisdom. There's a lot of wisdom in these old indigenous tribes that originally came from Atlantis and some of the other advanced races before the big flood came. And there are many, many peoples that actually have a lot of this wisdom. I just wish there were more.
Well, was this part of the plan to wipe out those tribes, or to get them to conform to other ways to help them lose their connection?
Yes.
And are there still tribes on the earth that live so remotely that they have not been discovered?
Yes.
Beautiful. And are they connected to this energy that's coming in and have a greater sense of what's happening so that they can be more pure, direct conduits for this energy to the earth?
Absolutely. They have been foretold this for many years. They're aware of it. They even know when it's happening.
Okay. And is there anything that humans need to do in order to prepare for any changes that could be happening on the planet to ease the process?
Yes. Raise your vibration level.
What about more three-dimensional things, like we've heard about food scarcity or things like that? Is that not something that we really need to concern ourselves with?
No.
Okay.
Raising your vibration level is the most important key event that they can possibly focus on right now.
Okay. And what are some of the best ways to raise one's vibration? Her healing obviously can be a really good one, and allowing yourself to be more open. What would be ways that people could raise their vibration right now?
Just basically open up your awareness to the other, to the spirituality of the universe, that everything is alive. The dualistic black and white, heaven and hell stuff, stow it. You don't need it. Raising your vibration is all about just being one with source, being one with everything that is around you. Most people find it easier in nature than big cities.
Oh, I know, I do, for sure.
So the best thing that you can do is just find that peaceful place for yourself. Flow.
What about for people that live in big cities? Let's say that, I have the ability, or Michael has the ability to share with people that they may know that live in bigger cities. What would be ways that they could, say, protect their energy, to raise their vibration and connect in a place like that, which is a little bit more, it can be very distracting energetically to be in a bigger place with a lot of people.
There are ways to do that. It's easier in nature, but sometimes you have to find your inner garden. Now, when you talk about a city, there's going to be a lot of energy there, and it's not all good energy. Most of it is negative energy. So the first thing you need to do is figure out how to insulate yourself, how to put yourself into a peaceful force field. And these things can happen wherever you are. I mean, in the middle of a prison, in the middle of a city, in the middle of a crowded street. It just depends on what your mindset is and where you are in your spiritual development. Some of these yogis can sit in freezing pools of water for hours on end because they have the heat within themselves and they use that to heat their bodies. And a person could die of hypothermia, but they don't. They're quite healthy when they come out of these ice baths. And no one can explain it. And it all has to do with what your core is inside you, what your spirituality is inside you. It's just easier in nature, but it's certainly not impossible wherever you are, because
I love this part so much. It's reminding me of Wim Hof, and it's also reminding me of the whole nervous system construct in the body and how that connects to our consciousness and our sense of raising our vibration. I think we're learning more and more about that physiology.
Yeah, well, and I really liked how, because you live surrounded by nature and country, and I live in a town, but I don't have to go far to find it. It's right outside my doorstep, right? We live in Montana. And so, I've thought a lot about people who have experienced the shutdowns and things like that, who've been living in these big cities, and just how much more challenging that would be, that, maybe you don't have access to the same kinds of open landscape to be able to get away from it all like we do. And I love how he said that you can really, you find that inner garden, right? You have to nurture and nourish that inner garden that we have, because that peace is always within us. And I think we're just taught so often to look outside of ourselves, but really it's all about bringing it back within. And I think that's really beautiful, because obviously that's where our connection to source is. That's where this energy apparently is coming into us and filling up our vessels as well. And so I've loved that he touched on that, for people who maybe feel like they don't have the ability to go out there and find it, that they actually have it already.
I like the part he said about, even if you're in jail. And it's true. I mean, it really is. It's a bigger challenge, of course, and quite the challenge for a human heart, but absolutely true. All right, let's continue.
Okay.
that's when it comes down to what your spiritual level is, because you can find that higher vibration wherever you are and whoever you are.
Thank you. So it sounds like just cultivating too your inner world you know, learning how to strengthen your mind and calm your mind, perhaps through practice of meditation, mindfulness, just really getting in touch with, because I love what you said, that it's like our inner garden. We don't have that ability to go within us. It's like connecting with your heart space, right? That inner garden.
Yes. Yes, your inner garden is the most important thing. Peaceful place or place where you go to feel like you are connected with source. That's the place where you're going to find the higher vibration. Whenever you are consumed with source in whatever way that you need to feel that, through Jesus or source or Buddha, doesn't matter what religion.
Mm-hmm.
It just matters that you find that place in your being, the center of your being, which will allow you to enhance that feeling and that higher vibration. If it feels good, do it.
But you want a lot of
Okay.
there could be some beautiful parks. And that might be a great place for people to find the trees and to connect with the earth in those places. And I think we can always find those elements of nature when we're looking for them. And if you're in a place where there isn't any, then definitely, I mean, we always can be connecting with that in our garden, but
It might be the city library. Who knows?
yeah. So raising our vibration is the most important thing that humans can be doing right now. And there's so many ways that we could be doing that.
Yes.
What else would be important during this time?
It's always important to take care of your body, because that's how we access in our physical world the demonic. So by taking care of your body, drinking lots of water, eating well, all of those things are necessary besides the spirituality, because we are our body, we are what we eat and drink. So it's important to keep that vessel, which is an extension of the source, clear, clean, organic, pesticide free. And another thing that's very important is to bless everything that goes into your body, whether it be water, food, vitamins, air, whatever you put in your body, you need to bless.
Thank you. That's a great reminder. And it's such a simple thing that we all can do. So I want to go back to the council and just get a feel for if there's anything that I haven't asked, if there's anything that they want to share. I feel this is such a unique opportunity to be able to speak with you all, and I know a lot of us down here feel that things are taking so long, and we feel tired, and it sometimes gets really difficult to be holding this light, even with all the things that we know. Is there anything else that you want to share about anything?
Telling me that 3D time exists, but you mentioned they are, the time doesn't. exist. So they're telling me that they really can appreciate our frustration and anxiety over everything that's happening because it's hard for them to understand it, although they know it happens for us.
Sure.
So they're just telling me that they want us to know that this is going to happen, that the forces that are blocking this will fail, that the big flash, big light, whatever you want to call it, big bang, what is going to happen, and that everything will change after that, because we'll know that we can't avoid this any longer, and that they will move forward from there, and then everything will be different. And that we sort of breaks the camel's back on the opposition of all this.
So I'm curious about this event happening, and then what will happen to humans during that process? What will they experience?
A lot of wonderment, a lot of peace out here, a lot of confusion. There's going to be many people that just are not going to be able to handle it, and they're going to have to go to another place, possibly another 3D planet, because they're just not going to be able to handle it's like trying to make a 1950 television work today. It just wouldn't work. The bandwidths are too off. You couldn't pick up a signal on one of those old TVs. And that's what these people are going to be like. There's going to be some people that are going to need a lot of rehabilitation. And they eventually be put back on the new earth. And they will have a far different experience. All of the systems are going to be different. The money systems, the everything will be different. Everything.
So the people that do make it through this experience, and maybe they're the ones that are in awe and wonderment, or I'm sure that everyone would experience some sort of adjustment period.
Yes.
And what does it look like shortly after? Like what are humans experiencing after that? And then they realize that some people aren't here anymore. How do they adjust to all of the newness and that experience?
There's going to be a lot of awarenesses that happen on the earth. Mainly that we are eternal creatures and that these people didn't die. They just moved to a different incarnation, or possibly they moved to just a different physical place, because there are so many different races in these myriad of councils that are here to help the earth. And a lot of them are in physical form, and they have spaceships that will take these people to the places where they need to go to find these 3D Earth-like places where they can live out their incarnation there. Some of them will pass away. They will no longer be living in any dimension, in any place, and they will become souls. And they will probably be reborn on a 3D planet because they just won't be able to handle this new vibration, even as a child, because they're just not ready yet. They will eventually get to the point of Telepaxias, but it might take them longer. So no one will be lost. But a lot of people will not live through this new earth that's coming.
I understand. So for the humans that are left on the planet and they go through this shift and they do make this transition, then what does the world look like to them now? And what are the communities? Like, I get a sense of, let's say if someone lives in a big city or they live in a small town or they live in a rural area, like, what does that look like after this experience happens?
Everything will be restructured. Water levels will rise, and then there will be some freezing. So we'll go through another cooler period, and the 3D buildings will vanish. In the 4D and 5D realities, a lot of the things that were built in 3D will just fade. So that will leave us the opportunity, number one, to have the paradise earth that you talked about in the Bible. We'll build new cities, and they will be much smaller. They will be crystalline cities. Some of them will be underwater. Some of them will be in the air. Some will be on land. And the earth will be a garden paradise, just like it was originally meant to be. And there will be far, far, far less people on earth. And that answers your question.
It does, thank you. And I'm curious about the animals, including animals.
I was just thinking that. Good question.
Where will these animals be? Will they be a part of this experience with us?
Yes. Many of those extinct animals will come back. There will be new animals, new colors that we have never seen before, new sounds, new tastes, new textures, new plants. In 3D, there will be so many more things that are possible that aren't possible on this earth right now. Our color system will almost look gray compared to what it will be in 4 and 5D.
I've heard that before in sessions.
Yeah. That sounds amazing. And I hope that we get to experience that in our lifetime. Have I told you about my New Earth session
Is there anything
that I had?
to share with us
Yeah.
today?
Just to keep it up, keep diligent. But this is all going to happen. It's going to happen soon. As you can, awaken as many people as you can. They're doing everything that they can possibly do on their end. That you're loved. That there's things that are in the works. They're telling me something interesting. They're saying that the burst of sunlight has already left. It's on its way. And it's on its way whether you're ready or not. And when it gets here, it's going to change everything. And it won't matter who's ready, who's not ready. It's a great equalizer. And everything will be different after that. Let's see.
Thank you. I feel that. I appreciate the message. And I know many other people will as well. Was there anything else I needed to come through for Michael today?
just want them, this last to know that he's doing a good job. It's love. It's a lot more than he thinks he does. And to not doubt yourself.
Would it be possible to show Michael perhaps a past life experience that would help him better understand his role that he has here right now on the earth as we go through this transition?
So through the higher self. Something with Michael the Archangel. Spirit. A druid. A druid priest.
Can you get a sense of what era this was?
That's
What year possibly?
it's probably 400 or 500. Yeah, contact with someone who I've had shamanic journey to, and she was my very distant grandmother, and she was a priestess also. And I made contact with her before. And she's telling me to remember, now it's a good time to remember the things that I did, and the people that I helped, and the people that I healed. Because I'm going to be revisiting that role again.
Well, can she show you that experience so you can get
Yeah,
a
she is showing me right now.
Okay.
She's telling me that that's why she reached out to me. So I made contact with her about 6 or 7 months ago.
And how does that feel to see yourself experiencing the lifetime and the work that you did there and how that correlates to where you are now?
It's a big surprise.
Yeah.
They're telling me something kind of funny. They said, when you studied to be a Catholic priest for 2 years, you had the right idea about the wrong century. Because we've done that before, you just didn't know it.
I'll just connect in with that knowledge and that understanding and bring in that awareness into yourself. And when you are moving through your daily world, being able to tap into that knowledge and wisdom to assist you while you're here assisting others. Is there anything else you need to know from that lifetime?
So
Excellent. Does it feel that there's anything else that you need to connect with at this time?
I don't think so.
We're gonna bring Michael back to his everyday awareness. We're gonna first though give thanks for these light beings on Telepaxia, this ball of light that he got to experience. And bringing forth all of this information through the councils. I want to give thanks for his guides, his ancestors, and his soul family, and everyone that was present today to assist in this session. We give thanks for the information that was brought forth for all of us to be able to utilize and experience. Just bringing back your awareness to this room. Stay, Kansas. At this Beyond Quantum Healing course. The new friends that you've connected with and met. The new connections that you've made. Wiggle your toes. Move your body just a bit. Ready, you can open your eyes. Well, that went different than I was expecting. And I normally would have brought in a healing team, but you were in some other place bringing forth something way.
I don't even know who that was. It didn't seem to be my higher self. And it wasn't my regular power guides. I have no idea who that was.
I think you just connected to, I mean, you obviously went to this new place and you connected with this new energy being that had something to bring forward. And sometimes that's how it is.
Yeah, it had to seem to have something to do with the energy balls and I don't know.
Do you remember everything?
Fractal source. Mostly. Yeah. Yeah, I kind of remember mostly. Yeah. Yeah, I remember Telepaxia. Yeah. I remember you when you asked me about my purpose, what I was going to be doing. I remember I could feel tears well up in my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So that really hit a nerve.
Well, it feels like such an honor, right? Like you
Yeah.
really be able to see the importance, the role that you have right now.
Yeah.
It's not.
And I had dreams of that, but I wasn't quite sure if that was just me wishful thinking or what. You know?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either now. Because that really, whew, that just had chills down me. Thinking about that, it was amazing.
How did it feel being in this place, seeing this landscape in this crystal city? Like, what did that feel like?
Oh my God, it was.
I mean, to have an idea if that's where we could be headed,
Yeah.
I mean, and to feel that energy,
Yeah.
like, what does that feel
Yeah,
like?
it was. It's hard to explain. It was almost like you could, like all of your senses were 1,000 times more than what they are now.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I with myself saying something, it's like seeing all the colors that we know right now all look gray compared to all the other colors that are out there now.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember they were really vibrant, really bright, and like it was like 1,000,000 greens, 1,000,000 blues, 1,000,000 whatever yellows, whatever color, that colors that we don't even have now. And there were senses and sounds and vibrations and smells. And we don't even know what they are. It was quite amazing. It's quite amazing.
It sounds amazing. I mean, I was trying to get a little bit of a visual on it when you were there explaining
Yeah.
what you're seeing. And I mean, I might have been able to ask more questions about that, but I was so fascinated with this energy ball and like what its purpose was and what was.
It was like this undulating, colorful energy ball that was about as big as a bowling ball.
Wow.
Just was happy going, sucking up energy.
Well, and just like what came through about like, you're like, well, I don't see any babies. But then you got to this point where you saw all these energy balls being
Yeah.
birthed in a sense, but that they were coming through these beings because their thoughts, their love, and their intention that was connecting with source
Yeah.
was bringing the energy through them and out of them in this physical way of something that could be used for a greater purpose, which is.
And I could actually see their thoughts coming out of their heads. It was like these little silvery things that were going up.
Oh my
and then I went
gosh.
through the roof, and then there was something else going back down, and it was these energy balls.
Wow.
And they were small at first, and then they were kind of in a birthing place where they were just nurtured, and then they got healthier and healthier and bigger, and then they gathered more energy.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really cool.
Well, and it's so fascinating to think that, you know, the energy that's coming here, to me, it gives it so much more meaning to think like the process that it goes through. It's not, it's just like from this void, it's actually coming from a place that has like love and substance and just beauty and
Yeah, and
all
this
of
was a
this stuff
physical place. This
incorporated.
wasn't an ethereal, energy quantity. I mean, this was an actual physical place. And it's so cool that there's all this different energy. I mean, the photonic energy and the flow of energy was just part of it.
Mm-hmm.
The flow energy was obviously, a smaller part than the stuff that comes through the suns, but it was all part of the same type of energy in a different form. So it's like, wow, I never considered that before. So that was pretty amazing.
How did it feel to be in the session? How did the experience feel to you?
Very dreamlike, very, very, like I was having a really cool, colorful, lucid dream.
Mm-hmm.
You just went there right away.
I went out right away.
Yeah, you went there right away. It was so fast.
Yeah, you did. Well, and I kind of expected that with you, but you kind of, once you dropped in.
We saw it coming, didn't we?
Yeah.
Seeing this beautiful forest and flowers and colors and
Yeah, I do
trees.
remember that. I remember,
Yeah.
boom, it's like somebody just turns on the television.
Right. Here I am.
That was actually, and there's just another minute 30 from reaction. And these reactions are great. These are the kinds of things I would have asked him anyway. So that's really wonderful. But this was right when I walked in. Like, I mean, that part of the session was when I walked in. So for the listeners and the viewers out there, my studio space is in the bottom of this really wonderful, very old building. And there are upstairs, right upstairs from my studio, are 3 Airbnbs, these really lovely, recently restored rooms that are bedrooms and a full kitchen and like a sitting room. And this is the place where the students who come to learn BQH, they take these Airbnbs, and then this is where we go to do our practice sessions. So all I have to do is go from the studio space downstairs, walk upstairs, and I just kind of peek in during all of these sessions in the different Airbnbs. And I happened to walk in right as he was in this forest talking about the energy balls. And I didn't stay long at all because there really wasn't any need. He was off and running, and it was just right as you guys were starting. So I'll remember that for a long time. That was amazing. That was amazing. All right, I'm going to finish playing out this last minute and a half.
Wow, what a cool place. It's beautiful.
It reminds me of the New York experience I had when I was in a session once, and it was like the most vibrant, beautiful, love-filled, energetic place I couldn't even imagine such a place.
Yeah.
And the way that everything felt around me, the energy I felt coming from the trees and the grass and the flowers and the animals, and it's like everything was in perfect harmony.
Yeah,
There
that's
was
what I got.
right?
Everything was connected.
Yeah,
Everything was connected. All the plants, all the flowers, me, the energy ball, the people in the city, the actual crystal city itself. I mean, everything was alive. Everything was connected. Everything was flowing. And sometimes I could see the flow patterns, and sometimes I could just feel them. It was really beautiful. It was just beautiful.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that experience of bringing that through.
Bring it through. Yeah, thanks for bringing it through. Help me bring it through.
You're welcome. We may have to do that again.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Online. All right, let me stop this.
All right, so stop share screen and we're back. Well, that was a beautiful recap with him. I don't even really have any questions. You did a great recap with him. It was all pretty self-explanatory. I do have a question though. Have you talked to him since then directly about any of this?
And I did receive a text. He finally listened to his session, and he told me, he's like, I really actually forgot more than I thought I did.
Yep.
And that's what's so awesome about, like, when we insist that people go back and listen, because not only are they able to just hear things maybe that they have forgotten, but just what that does in terms of the activations that it helps us with within our own internal realm, right? And so he listened to it and he texted me and he's like, wow, that was really cool. And, you know, he kind of touched on some of the points about it, but he was kind of shocked that he actually thought he had remembered more than he did. And there were just some parts where he just was like, I must have just been really way out there, because I really feel like we were talking about before, like he was in this kind of like wave pattern where he would go really deep, and then it's kind of like he was like a little more aware, and you can kind of see it when he's talking. And you know, like at some point it's like maybe his higher self is coming in and he's saying himself in second person, and then he's back to first person, and that kind of thing, which happens. But then for him to kind of just say, yeah, there was a lot of stuff that I didn't really remember about that, but he really enjoyed being able to go back and experience it again.
These sessions really, really can be like the very classically past life, higher self, etc. But they can very well, and they've been this way for a long time for some people, but more and more and more clients can just really have these multidimensional sort of shifting kind of sessions. And practitioners just have to go with what's presented. You know, they just have to work with what's coming, and knowing that it's not always like a light switch. It's not always like this or this or this. Sometimes it's this and this and this. Sometimes there's blends. Sometimes it goes like this, you know, different. I mean, when we use the term we're multidimensional beings, this is kind of what we mean. You know, we're multidimensional. That means you're constantly sort of shifting around and back and forth between perspectives like that. And that's part of what we're doing as we are expanding ourselves and our consciousness as humans, at least in my perspective.
And it's really cool, I think, because once I finally started really to have more of that understanding for my own life and just how I navigate things, or where I am when I'm in my dream state, or where I might be when I'm having a session or facilitating a session, or, I mean, it's just, we are constantly made more aware of that reality. And I think when you tap into that, it also becomes like really, you know, it's so expansive. It's like when we can get so hyper focused on like what's happening right now on the planet and how stressful it can seem or be, but a lot of it is really what we're allowing ourselves to take on. And I think that when we understand like this higher perspective and that there's so much more going on than we even know, it puts me at ease in a way that kind of, it's like, well, if I signed up to be here to do this, there's obviously aspects of me that I'm not fully even aware of.
Yeah.
And I can just surrender to some of this stuff.
Sure.
You know, just be like, okay, I don't have to participate in everything all the time.
No, not it, and there's a fine line there too, because there's also this thing about it, at least my view is to not be a rudderless boat, 'cause
Absolutely.
then all you're doing is getting pushed around by a bunch of waves and
Absolutely.
throwing up your hands. I mean,
No.
we're a very active species with free will, and we're creative, etc. So just being an idle all the time or being thrown around by other energies is not the way to go as a human, at least in my perspective. But
I agree.
yeah,
Yes.
these sessions help you figure some of that stuff out, and that's why I love doing them even after all these years.
Well, I think for me, when I said that, it's more about like how we allow ourselves to be so affected emotionally. We need to be very present. We need to be very aware of what's happening, but we don't have to be triggered by all the things, right? We don't have to constantly attach to the narratives of whatever is going on, and just trying to take more of a objective view, but also like being very present. It's been a really interesting dance, I think, this whole process, and how it, for me personally, has evolved over the years where, I don't know, at one point I felt like I was just more just kind of an observer, in the sense that didn't have as much of an active role because I wasn't a practitioner. And this has changed a lot of things for me and how I feel like I even go throughout my daily life now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, Natalie, this has been fabulous. I really enjoyed doing this process with you. And I want to thank you, and of course, Mike, for sharing your co-creative exploration here in your BQH session that you had at the course last month. It was so fabulous meeting you. For those of you out there who might be thinking about coming to one of these live courses, I talked to 2 more people this morning. The class is about half full already, and it's only just the first week in August, or I guess it's the second week in August now. So it's the second week in August. So this is October 25th is when we're going to do it. So we're holding the live classes here in Kansas 3 times a year. October is the last one this year, but the online course is ongoing and self-paced, and that's available at any time. And even those of you who do this kind of work and aren't completely focused in taking the BQH course at all, our quantumhealers.com page welcomes healers of all kinds. If you are a service to others practitioner and you want to enjoy being supported and having conversations, wonderful open conversations in a community of very loving and like-minded people without having to follow any certain path ascribed by somebody else, you might like to join us at quantumhealers.com, because it's really a unique community. I really don't know any others like it out there, where we can support ourselves while all looking at this work quite differently and in our own way.
Yes.
All right. Well, with that, I'm going to take myself up and out of this basement and get some sunshine, because, it's a little chilly down here. And I know it's plenty warm upstairs outside in the Kansas sun here in the August weather. It's going to be quite warm today. Natalie, again, thank you. And
Thanks, Candace.
We'll talk soon.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for watching. All right. Bye-bye.